Who wins? Army stronger in numbers and equipment, or army stronger in faith? Have you ever come across a story in which a small group of believers defeated a massive group of disbelievers, although not being very well equipped? Well, our answer to that is in Surah Al-Baqarah, where an army of literal giants were defeated by just a small group of faithful believers. So long after the time of Prophet Musa ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent another prophet to Bani Israel, also known as the descendants of Prophet Yaqub. So our focus today is the prophet known as Prophet Samuel. During his time, Bani Israel suffered defeat under the hands of the giants and faced a lot of oppression. Seeking victory, Bani Israel requested that the Prophet appoints a king for them that could lead them in the war to reclaim victory against the giants. The Prophet asked them if fighting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to be obligated upon you, would you fight? So they said, yes, of course. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed a king upon them known by the name of Talut. Now Bani Israel's questions was pointing out how Talut is not as wealthy as they are. The Prophet told them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon Talut strength and knowledge, also keeping in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selects whomever He wills. The Prophet told them that a divine sign that Talut is truly chosen by God is that he will come accompanied by a group of angels carrying an ark that was once stolen from them, known as the Ark of the Covenant. Now Talut led the army, and as they passed by a river, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test out their faith and sincerity. Talut told them that whoever drinks out of this river is not going to be with me in the army, but whoever does not drink from this river, except if only a small sip, he will be with me in the army. Now since they were exhausted and thirsty, most of Talut's army drank from the river and disobeyed the king. Now very few men remained on the army, and when these few men got on the battlefield, they realized that the army of the enemy led by Jalut is way more in numbers than them. Following this, a group of the army decided to not fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they thought it was really impossible for such a small army to defeat such a massive army of giants. Now even fewer in the army remained now, and these few asked and pled Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows them to have patience and grants them victory over the enemies. Now the battle starts off and the believers fight very fiercely, and at the end, eventually, a young man with nothing but a slingshot was able to kill the leader of the giants, Jalut. This young man was later on granted prophethood and kingdomship by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be later on known as Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, or David. Now why are we learning the story again? So we have 5 main lessons inshallah. The first lesson is that we cannot argue or question the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His Prophet give us, because they always have a wisdom behind it even if we don't see it ourselves. And our second lesson is that dua is the greatest weapon that a believer has in his hands. And then the third lesson is that those who really want the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will have to be tested with lots of tests to prove out their sincerity. And the fourth lesson that we have today is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed, He could wipe out all the falsehood and evil from this world. But His divine laws necessitate that the believers will always be tested by fighting the disbelievers. And our last lesson is that victory does not come with numbers or with equipment, but it comes with faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately. So never underestimate the effort anybody could do, even if he's young or not even well equipped. Just as how a young man was able to kill the leader of the giants that caused all of this oppression to Bani Israel. That's all. Jazakumallahu khayran.